Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanajari Yamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Om Jnana Trimandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Prasatate Satarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Actually, you're very, very fortunate to be here today in Krishna's abode. You could have gone anywhere else, but you decided to spend your time today here, so we really do appreciate that. So today's topic is Practical Krishna Consciousness. That is, how can we incorporate Krishna Consciousness into our daily lives? So you're coming here at Sunday Feast, but how can we do Krishna Consciousness day in and day out? So first question is, before we say why we should have Krishna Consciousness in our daily lives, why Krishna Consciousness in the first place? So there's about 8 billion people in the world today, right? That's the population today. And some are rich, some are poor, some are educated, some are not. Some are born in the south, west, east, north. But no matter where they are, what their status is, they're all suffering, right? Who here can say that, who here has been not happy or has suffered or has some sickness or has some family problems, some stress? Can anybody tell me? Everybody raise their hands if you've had something like that. I think everybody has had it, right? Right? So it doesn't matter, like somebody can be a billionaire and somebody can be a poor person. It makes no difference. You are going to have some suffering. So everyone is hankering to be happy, and they do become temporarily happy, but there's no permanent happiness unless we're Krishna conscious. Some people think that, oh, well, if I get a new car, or I get a new watch, or I get a new outfit, I'm gonna be happy. They try to make all this money to get that, but a few days later, it's like, oh, that new car wore off, or that watch, whatever. Then you go to the store again, I want to get something else, hankering. So the fact of the matter is that we're all suffering the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. No one can escape that. Bill Gates can't escape it, and nobody can escape it, right? So I'll give you an example. How many of you have heard of Alexander the Great? Good. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a couple of books about King Porus and Alexander the Great. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is actually the great guru of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada's guru is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and his guru is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So many of you know who Alexander the Great was. He was a king, an emperor, who actually built the greatest empire in the world. But he actually started to lose his life in his early 30s. But he had gathered all these riches, all these lands, etc. But he knew he was on his deathbed, and so he called his generals in. And he said, I have 3 wishes that I want you to do when I actually die and when the procession goes. So the generals asked, well, what are your 3 wishes? His first wish was that when the procession goes, he wants all his doctors to accompany the procession. And why was that? He wanted to show the world that even though he had all this wealth and could afford the best doctors, they could not help him extend time on earth. They could not save him. He was still going to die. So that was his first wish. His second wish was that when the procession proceeds, I want my wealth, my jewels, my coins, all the treasures, I want them thrown on the road. So they asked, well, why is that? He says, I want to show everybody that I spent all my time, all my efforts on getting all of this wealth. And what did it help me in the end? It's useless to me. This is all material. So his third and final wish was that when I go, I want my hands to be out and empty. They said, well, why is that? He said, well, I want to show that I came empty-handed. I amassed all this wealth, but I'm not taking it with me. I am going empty-handed. Right? So we can learn from Alexander the Great, even though he was a materialist, we can learn from him these examples that we do not take anything with us. What we do take, though, is anything we collect in Krishna consciousness. Anything we do in Krishna bhakti or devotional service is the only thing that the soul takes with us. Otherwise, you're not going to take that house, you're not going to take that car, etc., etc. Do we agree? Have you ever seen anybody who dies and goes and takes us all with them? No, right? It stays here, right? So you see it with your own eyes. This is not some phantom of the imagination, okay? So Krishna consciousness is the missing link, and actually, we as humans are very fortunate. There are 8,400,000 species in the world, but of those species, only humans can be Krishna conscious. Only humans have the intelligence, the mind, the hearing, the speaking to become Krishna conscious. It's not the animals, it's not the insects, it's not the bacteria, and so on and so forth, okay? So if we have that opportunity and we understand that the purpose of life is to be Krishna conscious, and that is the only way to stop this cycle of misery, stop this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, to truly be happy, we have to be Krishna conscious. And Krishna consciousness means bhakti or devotional service to Krishna. Now, of course, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, even the demigods pray to him. Lord Indra, who's so powerful, Lord Shiva, they're also praying to him. So he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's fully opulent. He has 6 full opulences. Does anybody know what they are? Wealth, beauty, strength, renunciation, fame, and knowledge. Very good. Thank you. So he has all these things. He doesn't need anything from us, right? It's just like a small child. It's the father's birthday and he wants to get a present for the father. Does the small child have the money to get a birthday gift? Not really. So he goes to the father's wallet or he borrows it from the mom and he goes and buys a gift for the father. But the father thinks, the child is showing me so much love, right? What is the father looking for? He is looking for love from the child. It's a reciprocal nature of love, okay? The father doesn't need that little toy that the child might have bought. He can buy it himself, right? So if we see that in a mundane manner, we can see that Krishna does not need anything from us. So the only way we can capture Krishna is actually by love, by bhakti. That is the only thing that we can give Krishna and that captures him. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40, that any endeavor, and I'll just read the translation, in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So any effort, unlike if we gather a bunch of money or gather car, etc., we're not taking that with us. But any endeavor we do in Krishna consciousness, we are taking with us, right? So it's very important to understand that even a little time in Krishna consciousness is so very valuable. But to be Krishna conscious takes practice. The first thing is it takes desire, and then it takes practice. So for example, if you want to become a doctor, what do you think happens? I want to become a doctor, next day I'm a doctor. Does it happen that way? No, right? First you have to say, well, I want to be a doctor, and then you have to take the proper courses in high school, then you have to take the proper science classes, biology classes, etc. in university, then you have to take tests, right, the MCAT, these kind of things, then get accepted, then work in labs and practice, etc., and then you become a doctor, right? Even if you want to get a driver's license, what does it take? You can't just start driving a car, right? You have to get association, if you will, from an instructor, you have to get guidance, you have to practice, and then you take tests, and then you become a driver, correct? So if we have to do these endeavors just to get mundane things, be it a university degree, doctor, engineer, I know everybody likes that, right? Architect, engineer, doctor, etc., then we have to put some effort into becoming Krishna conscious. If that is our ultimate goal in life, to go back home, back to Godhead, then we have to put some effort into it, right? Would you agree? Right? It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen that when you are ready to die, which we don't know when we are going to, that suddenly you're going to be Krishna conscious and think of Krishna. It doesn't work that way, right? Whatever's in our mind at the time of death, that tells us where we go next. So we have to practice, okay? Now, one will say, what is consciousness? Well, consciousness is part of our mind. And the mind has to be engaged at all times. The mind is always active, right? It's always thinking of something. I'm sure even right now, somewhere you're thinking, when is Prashadam? When is she going to be done? Right? Okay? Or thinking, I've got all these chores when I get home. I've got to run the laundry or whatever, right? So the mind is always moving. So how do we make our mind Krishna conscious? The mind becomes Krishna conscious by the effect of the material modes of nature and the environment. And Krishna actually says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 5, I'll let you look that up. But that is what affects it. So in order to become Krishna conscious, we need to change the factors around us. What is affecting us? What is the environment? Who are we associating with? This helps us become Krishna conscious or not Krishna conscious, right? But thankfully, Krishna has given us so many ways to become Krishna conscious. So when he came 5,000 years ago, he appeared as a little baby and then had all his childhood pastimes, right? So many of you might have children, or of course were children yourself. And when you're children or you have a child, don't you take great pleasure in talking about the child? He was mischievous. He took this little toy. When they steal at a young age, it's funny. Of course, it's not funny when they're grown. That's actually theft. But when they're a young age and they're going and stealing some toy or playing a little game, then it's funny, right? It's endearing. So Krishna, when he came 5,000 years ago, one of the purposes, of course, was to vanquish the demons. But the other purpose was to give pleasure to his devotees and to allow us to easily remember him, right? So if I told you today that I want you to meditate on this table, and I want you to meditate for 5 hours, you'll think I'm nuts, right? Who's going to do that? You can't. You know, it's a solid object, who cares, right? But when you want to say, oh, can you tell me a little bit about the pastimes of Krishna? Or can you tell me about the pastimes of mischievous Vittal Bhakta? Suddenly you're going to talk and say, oh yeah, he did this and this and that, right? So Krishna has given us that ability by coming. That it's his blessings, his mercy to come as Krishna so that we can talk about him. That helps us become Krishna conscious. And then Lord Chaitanya appeared 537 years ago because we're in the age of Kali Yuga. In the other yugas, the other ages, people were able to do many different sacrifices, austerities, tapasyas, perfect deity worship. They had the intelligence to remember things. In this day and age, in the age of Kali Yuga, we cannot do that, right? If we were told to, okay, stand on one foot, for example, even for 1 hour, we couldn't do it. But in other ages, they could stand for hundreds of years, right? So Lord Chaitanya came and gave us a very easy way to become Krishna conscious through Harinam Sankirtan, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just chanting and dancing and having prasadam and associating with others, we can become Krishna conscious, right? He made it so very easy, right? So again, his blessings. So today, now that we know it's important, and we also know that it can be easy, we've been given the easiness of doing so, I want you to remember one acronym, and you'll easily remember this because it's HARE, H-A-R-E, HARE, right? Can everybody say HARE? HARE, yes. So HARE is part of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. So HARE, the H is for habits, so habits and time. The A is for association, association and support. The R is for redirect, and the E is for environment. Of course, that's not the real meaning of it, Hare, I'm sure you all know, but we're making that an acronym so that you can actually remember it, right? So who's going to remember Hare? Excellent. Jai. Okay, so I said that the H is for habits, habits and time. Now, of course, we are all very busy, right? I've got studies to do, I've got to get ready for work, I've got to drive to work, I've got to get the kids ready, you know, I've got to cook in the evening. My God, there's just so much to do, I don't have the time, right? Everybody has that kind of thinking. But actually, Krishna says, I am time. And Krishna gives us time, and he takes away time. We don't actually know how much time we have, right? You're seeing on the news all the time, this happened, there's a stabbing, there's a car accident, etc. None of us know. King Parikshit was blessed to know that he had 7 days, and he immediately went to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. But how many of us actually know how many days or how many minutes or how many hours we have? We don't, right? So all these plans we're making are saying, well, we don't have time. The time is actually there, but we have to decide what we want to prioritize with that time, right? So we tend to make time for what we perceive is important. So if you realize what is important to me, you will make time for it, right? Okay, so the time is there, but the thing is to redirect that time to where you feel it is important. And similarly, like a diet, for example, you would generally take an agenda or a journal and start writing down, well, this is what I ate, this is what I shouldn't eat, and you start tracking it, right? It helps you log what you're eating and what you should be eating. It helps you track it. Similarly, if it helps you, make a log, have a journal, and say, okay, this is what time I woke up, this is what I did, this is where I spent the time. You'd be amazed at where your time is going and how you can change and channel where that time is spent. So really, it's not about increasing time, but doing this instead of that, okay? And that comes to habits. So what we read, what we watch, what we listen to, what we talk about. It's a matter of changing our habits. And it's a matter of being regulative and repetitive with those habits. So it's not something that, just like a diet, okay, I'm going to go and exercise and diet just today, and then I forget about it the next day, right? It takes repetition and regulation. And when you do, it becomes a habit, right? So how many of you have social media? Facebook, TikTok, what else? Instagram. Some people are smiling, right? So you start, okay, I'll check the Facebook and, oh, that's a nice post. Oh, what are the people commenting? So then you start reading the comments, and then you see the commenters' comments, and then you go and see that guy, okay, what's his profile about, right? I'm sure many of you done that. Or TikTok, right? All the kids are into TikTok these days. How many dances can you really watch? But, you know, we tend to get down into this rabbit hole. And instead of it being a 2-minute check of Facebook, or whatever, it becomes 30 minutes, an hour, several hours. Where did that time go, right? So instead of spending time on social media, we can spend it on reading the Bhagavad Gita, right? Instead of listening to Bollywood songs or Taylor Swift or whoever's the in-person, Lady Gaga or whatever, we can listen to Kirtan, right? We can listen to lectures. We can listen to bhajans. The same amount of time is being spent, but we're changing what we're doing, right? We're not saying not to listen. We said the consciousness is active, the mind is active. But change the habit, okay? If you're reading, instead of reading the newspaper or taking a book from the library to read some fiction about, I don't know, romance or a thriller or sci-fi or whatever, read the Bhagavad Gita, read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Read Krishna book, Krishna's pastimes. We talked about the sweet pastimes of Lord Krishna. There are so many books to read that I guarantee you can't read all of Srila Prabhupada's books even in one lifetime. So there's no shortage of that. So we don't need to read the newspaper, right? Yes, of course it's good to know what's happening in the world. We shouldn't be daft, but it doesn't mean that we have to read about it all the time. You know, if you look at it, every day there's a stabbing, right? Nobody remembers who stabbed or whatever. Every day there's a car accident. Every day wars going on. It's the same thing, right? You don't remember who was stabbed or which war was happening a year ago or a month ago even, right? It's the same cycle. If you start kind of analyzing it, you'll see it's the same cycle again and again, okay? If you take transit, you're on the bus, probably you have headphones. Well, listen to Kirtan. Listen to lectures. Listen to the Bhagavad Gita being recited. Dravida Prabhu has a wonderful recitation. It's very sweet. So you can listen to that instead of, you know, music or news or radio, etc. Same with if you're driving to work. Yes, that time has to be spent on the roads. We have to take the highways or streets or whatever. But instead of putting on 680 news or whatnot, listen again to Krishna Katha. Change your consciousness. Okay? And when we're eating, of course we have to eat. Of course we have to cook. But cook for Krishna, right? Make foodstuff that Krishna likes and then offer it to him. That changes your consciousness as well. And chant japa, right? I'm not sure if anybody has japa beads or japa bag. Yes, you do, very good. And good, Jai. And if you don't, and if you can do this in the morning, but if you're on the road or you're on the bus or you have a lunch break, you can also chant japa. Now some may say, well, I don't want to show my colleagues a whole japa bag, right? It's kind of, you know, too flashy. Well, this one's flashy, but you can also use a japa counter. There's little counters available, you can do it on there. But not only that, Krishna has given us a natural counter. So you see your fingers here. Each finger can be one Mahamantra, and that's 3 on each finger. 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 by 9 is 1 japa. 108 Mahamantras is 1 japa. So you could be sitting on the bus, you could be on a bench, you could be at lunchtime, you could be on break, you could be even in a meeting and it's really boring and you could be thinking of Krishna and chanting japa on your fingers. Nobody knows. Krishna knows, right? Does that make sense? Okay? And make a routine. We talked about habits. Make a routine. So in the morning when you wake up, When you wake up, instead of having the radio blaring or the TV or the news on, the first thing that should come to your mind when you wake up and come from your lips should be Krishna. Say Krishna in the morning. Or say the Maha Mantra in the morning. So right away, you're thinking of Krishna, right? And the first words out of your mouth are the words Krishna. Krishna's dancing on your lips. How pleasing is that? Okay? And then bathe, of course, because our body is a temple, we should be clean. Okay? And then if you have time, I know it's hectic, but try to chant 1 japa or 2. Figure it out how much time you have. 1 japa only takes about 5 to 7 minutes, right? It's only 5 to 7 minutes. Try it out. It takes a little longer if you're more meditative and a little bit slower, but if you're in a little bit of rush, okay, at least you're chanting, okay? Do some reading if you have time. Even 1 shloka, 1 verse, with 1 purport, it doesn't take long. And during the day, as we talked about before, try to meditate. Try to listen, right? Listen to those vibrations. And in the evening, do some arti. Read with the family. Offer foodstuffs to the Lord. We talked about cooking and offering. So that is H for habits, okay? Hare, H for habits. The next is association and support. Association is vitally important. Srila Prabhupada really emphasized association. Because when we're with like-minded individuals, we help each other, right? If you look at it from a mundane perspective, if you wanted to do diet and exercise, if you had a buddy doing it with you, they help you, right? They motivate you, they encourage you. Similarly, in Krishna Consciousness, there are so many devotees who can associate with you, encourage you, and help you with your progress. It helps them, and it helps you. So I'll give you an example of Narad Muni. Everybody knows Narad Muni, right? So Narad Muni was once, he's able to travel all over the 3 worlds. And so Narad Muni was once traveling, and he ended up in a forest. And when he saw this forest, he saw these animals that were half dead. They were writhing in pain. And he would see one and then walk a little bit further, see another one, see another one. He says, who did this? And finally, he came upon a hunter with arrows and a bow. And he said, did you do this? He says, yes. He says, why did you do this? He said, well, that's how my father taught me. This is what I've learned, and this is how I make a living. This is how I sustain myself and my wife. But the hunter saw this glowing personality and said, I will listen to you, whatever you say, I will listen to you. So Narad Muni said that what you're doing is actually very sinful. It's one thing to kill the animal to eat. I can understand that. That is sinful already. But the fact that you're actually half killing them and making them suffer more is even more sinful, and you will suffer the karmic reactions to this. So the hunter said, well, I take great pleasure in this, but I'll listen to you. So Narad Muni sat with this hunter for many hours in time and gave him instructions, guidance, and association, and explained to him about the Shastras. And then he said that I want you to give up everything, give up all your material possessions, throw this bow and arrow away, break it, and go build a cottage near the river and put a tulsi plant in front. So the hunter was, well, how am I going to sustain myself? How am I going to sustain my wife? Narad Muni says, don't worry, it'll be taken care of. So, by the guidance and association of Narad Muni, he actually did that. Soon, the villagers and everybody around heard about this hunter turned Vaishnava. And this Vaishnava, so this hunter and his wife would actually sit there and chant the Maha Mantra all day long and pray in front of Tulsi. And suddenly, all these villagers were bringing foodstuffs to them. So much foodstuffs, they didn't know what to do with it. Sometime later, Narad Muni came with his friend Parvata Muni and said, let me show you something. And so they went to see this hunter, and the hunter saw Narad Muni, and he got up all excited. But then he hesitated. And instead of running to pay his obeisances to Narad Muni, he suddenly was trying to wipe the floor with his dhoti. And so they were surprised, Narad Muni, Parvata Muni, what's he doing? And what was he doing? This hunter, who was actually killing all these animals before, was now wiping the ground to save the ants so that they would not be killed. So that is the power of association. So bringing association into your life will help you with the progress of Krishna consciousness. And that association can come from the temple. So at the temple, we have many, many devotees here. We have many programs. There's Srimad Bhagavatam classes in the morning, of course, the Sunday feast that you're at here. We have a Hindi Bhagavad Gita class on Fridays. We have different Kirtan meditations that occur. We also have kids classes because the kids should learn as well. It's our responsibility to make kids Krishna conscious as well. So there's many, many opportunities. And of course, there's darshans throughout the day. We have 6 artiks every day. So you can come at any time to have darshan of the Lord and have association of the devotees. So there's many, many opportunities. And if you're traveling worldwide, you have temples all over the world. So you can always pop into a temple and get association and not feel lonely on your progress in life. And of course, that's good association. You also want to avoid bad association, right? So I wouldn't recommend that you go into a bar where people are drinking because that's bad association, right? Just like for a doctor, they would associate with doctors so they can learn from them and improve their own practice, right? So similarly, if you want to improve your Krishna consciousness, then you will also improve your association. So that's the A, right? HA we've covered. The next is redirect. So of course we have to work. Of course we have to do our occupation. Krishna says, yes, do your occupation, but offer the results to me. Offer the results to Krishna. So whatever efforts you are doing, you have to do them to maintain your family, but just for maintenance, right? There's no need to be in this rat race just to get more and more money, more and more stuff. We're not taking it with us. So yes, we work to maintain our family, but we offer the fruits of our work to Krishna. So how can one do that? Well, we maintain our family, but we use those monies, those Lakshmis, to cook for Krishna, to buy jewelry for Krishna, to support the temple. These are all things that you can redirect your efforts and your energies towards Krishna. Okay? So we have, as a grihastas have a responsibility to their family, but they also have a responsibility to supporting the temple. Okay? And not only monetarily, but in the purposes of skills and seva. So you can see devotees in the back actually setting up for prasadam. So they're doing seva. Some are doing cut up. Some might help at the end of the program to help tidy up. That is seva. You can use your skills for Krishna. If you're a great cook, cook for Krishna. If you're a great artist, paint for Krishna. Don't paint landscapes, paint Krishna's pictures, right? If you're a good singer, chant for Krishna. So redirect your energy and your efforts towards Krishna. And this temple is your temple, but just remember it's a very auspicious temple because Srila Prabhupada himself walked the floors of these temples, of this temple. So it's a very auspicious temple. His heart is here. Okay? So the last one is E. Can anybody remember what the E stands for? Environment. Very good. Okay? So you want to change the environment that you're in. Make your home a temple, right? Set up an altar. You don't necessarily have to have deities. You can have a picture of the Lord, Radharani and Krishna, Gaurnitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, a picture of Srila Prabhupada. So make your home a sacred space. Have the vibrations in your home be sacred as well. We talked earlier about having the vibrations of Kirtan or lectures. So instead of having the news on all the time or the radio on, have Kirtan on all the time, right? Have your children be listening or watching Krishna cartoons. There's many available on YouTube as well. You yourself can also watch Krishna kathas on YouTube. We're repeating this, but it's important to repeat because you want to remember this. Repetition means remembrance, okay? Read together as a family. Make some time in the evening to read together. Do artik in the evening. You'll see the difference. Your home will become totally different, you know? Keep nice foodstuffs. Avoid meat, fish, eggs, garlic, onion, that type of thing. Krishna doesn't eat that, right? So if you want to please him, then you'll also cook those nice foodstuffs for him, right? So, I know we're running out of time, but all of these four go hand in hand. HARE, the habits, the association, the redirection of our efforts and energies, and our environment, right? So what are the four words? Yeah, very good. We tried to make it easy for you. So these are foundational things. And I would request that when you start doing these foundational things, when you start making these commitments, please maintain and then increase, don't decrease. So if you make a commitment that I am going to chant 1 japa a day, or 2 japas a day, or I'm going to read 1 shloka a day, or I'm going to do 1 arti, or I'm going to read with my family for 15 minutes a day, then please start that commitment and increase, don't decrease. And people, your coworkers, your colleagues, your peers at school, they're going to also see a difference in you. You're going to see a difference in you as well. You're going to be more joyous. You're going to be more positive. You know, there's going to be a change in your personality and your character. Okay? And Krishna reciprocates. So if you're really sincere about being Krishna conscious, Krishna knows what's in your heart, and he will help you. He will reciprocate. So just simply try, and you will see the difference. And Krishna himself, in chapter 18, verse 65, sums it up very nicely. He says, Man mana mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskaru, manavesyasi satyam te, pratijane priyosame. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So he is making this promise. You try, he will reciprocate, and he will bring you back home, back to Krishna, out of this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. So we request that you start making Krishna consciousness part of your life, and gradually you progress so that life becomes part of Krishna consciousness. So it flips, right? Krishna consciousness, part of your life. Now life becomes part of your Krishna consciousness. So I think we've run out of time. If you have any questions afterwards, I will be here to answer them. But thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Very well. Thank you so much for that very practical talk. I was making mental note of all the tips that you were giving. Thank you so much for that. Do we have any newcomers today by any chance? Yes? Okay, wonderful. So we do have a devotee over here, Jessica. If you just wave your hand. If you have any questions or anything at all, she'll take care of it for you. Alrighty, so let me just get myself in the right place. Okay, here we are. Okay, so we do have a virtual Gita overview course taking place from April 24th to May 25th. So for more details, please go to our website, www.chantingkrishna.com. Today's feast was cooked by Baba Malini Devi Dasi and Padmakshi Lataki and team. So could we please give a round of applause for those devotees? Thank you. And just a gentle reminder that you can sponsor a feast or deity garlands to celebrate any occasion. And if you would like to do so, there's always a devotee at the front desk who'd be more than happy to take those funds from you. And donations of any kind are welcome, and a tax receipt will be issued for them. Today we do have two sponsors, one for the deity garlands and one for the feast. So the sponsor for the garland would like to remain anonymous and has sponsored on the occasion of their son's birthday. So if you could give please a big round of applause for that devotee. Thank you. And for the feast, we have Mayer and Naina Chawda. Do we have? Are they here by any chance? well, in any event, we'll give a big round of applause for them. Thank you. All right, so just a note as well for Prashadam. Sometimes we do make a note that we don't want devotees to sit up and to eat, but we always have trouble with space, so that's okay. If you do want to use space up to eat, that's more than fine. But if you do use that space, please do make sure to bring your plates and any other things back downstairs, or it gets very difficult for those who are cleaning upstairs to keep it tidy. And please, we do have ample time today, luckily, but please do note that Arati does start at 8 p.m. So we want to make sure that all of us have eaten and put in our plates away and are tidy before the doors open. So please be mindful of the clock, and at around 5 to 8, I'll make an announcement just as a reminder so that folks are all tidied up and prepared for Arati. So thank you so much for coming. We hope to see you next week as well. Thank you.